Welcome back to another segment of Anu Asafo. I'm your host, Kim, and this week I will be talking with Akwete Tyehimba of Pan-African Connection Bookstore in Dallas, Texas. Aside from having an African bookstore that is a community gathering place for learning and cultural activities, the bookstore is a family business with a purpose and a mission. One of the recent Thunderground Thursday episodes was centered on the value and importance of having a mission statement. I was excited to talk with Akwete because here was a family doing exactly what many theorize we should do as a solution to some of our family and community issues. This bookstore has successfully been operating for over 20 years and in the southern part of the United States on top of that. In Haru's book, Solutions for Dysfunctional Family Relationships, he goes into detail about going into a relationship with a mission and plan in place and how it's vital for a healthy and successful family. Haru asks a couple of questions in the book. One, what does the prospect of this union mean for your family, your community, and your ethnic group? And is it likely that the union and any resulting fruit from it will be a burden to your people, or will it serve to further them? There is nothing that occurs in a vacuum as an abstraction, so picking your lover poorly or under the influence of unwise counsel can set off a chain of events that could affect an entire community due to the irresponsibleness of it. And some people may try to argue this or dismiss it by saying, well, our relationship is between us. Or maybe they just don't understand how their choosing to mate with someone has an effect on the community. Well, when you look at the news and see all the violent crimes committed, issues of domestic violence and molestation of children, do you not think that these people had parents? They came from somebody's family. Individuals make up families, families make up communities, communities make towns and cities, and they in turn make up a state, and states are part of a country. Countries make up the global community or family, and those continents of countries set the vibration and frequency of the planet. So this is what's meant when you hear people say your children are not your children. They belong to a community. Not having a purpose or mission for joining with another person is the root cause for the dissolution or dysfunction of our relationships. Pan-African Connection Bookstore was started with Akwete and her husband, Bandele Tyehimba, early in their courtship. Cultural awareness and application of the culture was the foundation of their relationship from the beginning. Their union has produced a business that educates, encourages, and serves as an example of an African family who can produce something beneficial for their community. So after the break, I'll get into the interview with Akwete Tyehimba. First, of course, I would like to make some announcements. Remember to click the follow button on the Enlightenment and Transformation page of Blog Talk Radio to keep up with all the shows as well as news and announcements with the new spiritual order and training. The next seminar or workshop that y'all will be hosting is going to be in New York City, September 27th. That's next Saturday at the Pagan Pride Day event. That will be between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. And the title of the workshop is Decoding Rituals and Sacrifice. He will also be at Black and Nobel in Philadelphia discussing the power of the 14 African principles. The time for that workshop is from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. December 27th. So you have some time to plan for that one. Also, if you plan to attend any of the workshops, go to meetup.com, that's meetup.com, and visit Enlightened Spirit to RSVP for the events. that will give the organizers a feel for how many people will be attending the workshop. This is something that Sister Felicia works hard on when trying to get things organized. You know, Chief always produces a very professional and well put together workshop and products that takes time and energy. So let's try to return some of the same courtesy and respect, and respect the protocols put in place for things to, run smoothly. When things are organized, of course, you get so much more out of it. And the workshops have been awesome so far. So remember to RSVP. Okay, let's break here, and I'll be back with Akwete Tyehimba.
We are an African people. We will remember the humanity, glory, and suffering of our ancestors. We will honor the struggles of our elders. We will strive to bring new values and new life to our people. We will have peace and harmony among us. We will be loving, sharing, and creative. We will work, study, and listen so we may learn. Learn so we may teach. We will cultivate self-reliance. We will struggle to resurrect and unify our homeland. We will raise many children for our nation. We will have discipline, patience, devotion, and courage. We will live as models to provide new directions for our people. We will be free and self-determining. We are an African people, and we will win, and we will win, and we will win. Ashe.
Greetings, everyone. This is Kim, back with another segment of the Anu Asafo Show. Today, I'm talking with Akwete Tyehimba of Pan-African Connection Bookstore, located in Dallas, Texas. Welcome, Sister Tyehimba. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great, my sister. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Great.
Thank you for taking out some time to talk with us and share some information about your journey and your bookstore. I gave a brief introduction about who you are at the beginning of the show, but will you please let us know who you are and a little bit about the bookstore, such as the location, how long you've been in business, and what you offer there?
Sure. First of all, let me thank you for, allowing me to share this time with you and your listening audience. We are, actually, I say we because my husband passed 2.5 years ago, but I feel like, I can never say me or I when I refer to the Pan-African Connection because it was a collective effort created back in 1989. So we've been in business now for 25 years. Wow. And with the, will of the people, we will continue to move forward, maybe hopefully another 25 years. Mm-hmm. But the business was created as a vehicle, as a tool to organize our people, to educate them about who they are and the greatness of their, of African culture. So my husband, Ben Belly, who grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, he was always involved in the nationalist, revolutionary struggle. And he was a member of the All African People's Revolutionary Party really for more than 30 years. And so it was his desire, to use the business as a tool to organize, not only for the organization, but to just use it as a vehicle to really give people a bigger vision of the world. And so that's what we do. We sell African art from all over the continent. We have books, mostly revolutionary books, history books. We don't really get into a lot of the urban fiction stuff. We really try to sell books that are used to wake our people up and really not put them to sleep. So it's, we make a conscious effort. Some people say, oh, y'all could have made $1 million, by now if you chose another route, an easier route. But for us, we have a historical responsibility to take our people, to a higher level. So that's why we're here.
Wow. That just answered, I think, about my next 2 questions I have for you. I read an article, I think it was in the Dallas Observer blog, that you and your husband started the bookstore early in your courtship. And I think that was so beautiful. I know in Chief Yuya's book, Solutions for Dysfunctional Family Relationships, and in many of his lectures, he stresses the importance of a union having a mission and a purpose. So early on, was this bookstore part of a collective vision, or was it more a vision of your husband's, or how did that go?
Well, it was, when I first met, my husband was on a college campus, and of course at that time I had no level of consciousness. I had been through college and everything, and I barely knew Malcolm X right at that time. And here I'm walking around the campus with Farrah Fawcett curls and hair, and, I wasn't paying no attention to him. But some people in life, they've always known what they want to do in life. Some of us, it takes time to figure it out, and, we want to, but there's certain individuals who know instinctively what direction and objective they are to take. And for him, it was to always to organize his people. And then as he grew, it was to bring them closer to Africa. And as he grew and studied, and it was to work towards the objective of forming the United States of Africa. But anyway, it was his stimulus. It was his dream to do this. I sort of gravitated into the mix from meeting him and studying, and and he just gave me the tools to add information up for myself, and eventually it became my dream also, my responsibility, my work in life too. So you're right, the brother is right when he talks about when you have a common mission. I mean, the best for us, we struggled on many levels, but it was based on, most of our struggles were over work and over principles. Principles. So when I would do something unprincipled, or when I didn't fulfill my work, then we would have to go at it. But as long as, but it makes you stronger when you struggle over a higher level of contradiction. So these little petty things like, oh, you looked at that brother, you looked at that sister, or you said, something petty. The revolution will make you struggle on a higher level. And if you study, because we always studied collectively, always organized collectively in organizations. So to me, the revolution will make you the best husband, the best wife, the best man, the best woman that you can be. But it has to be on a collective front. So he's right.
Oh, that's great. Being in the South, especially so deep in the Bible Belt, because I'm actually here in Arkansas, not far from you. Did you find a lot of resistance to the idea of starting an African-centered bookstore? And how has the population of Dallas and surrounding areas reacted to the store throughout its growth?
Well, I guess for us in Dallas, we were lucky. And I guess back in the late 80s and early 90s, people were, they were waking up. They were studying about Africa. They were wearing Malcolm X hat shirts and everything. So there was this thirst for knowledge when we came onto the scene. So, and then there was a bookstore already in existence here. And so, and there was a lot of cultural activity, a lot of political work going on. So, I think if you create the environment, which many of us in Dallas did through our organizing work, then the people will, you create an energy that the people will want to learn and struggle and you just have to create the political environment. So for us in Dallas, not just in Dallas, but at that time, all over the country, a lot of work. I mean, it just, people calling themselves African, people putting on a kufi or wearing Malcolm X or Reese. That takes work. That's just, it's an organized campaign of reactivation of, of pushing identity. So all of that was work. So work has been done, is being done. None of us have to reinvent the wheel. So we just kind of, knew where our people were and created this vehicle to kind of move them forward. But no, the people have been very receptive. I mean, people understand that they are, the conditions that people are in are not, they're not right. There are many contradictions for us. Wow. So there are a lot of contradictions, and people can see them. They want change. They want transformation for their community. So for us, instinctively, people gravitate toward truth. When you're struggling against lies, when you're searching for truth, you got to struggle against lies. So people are always searching for truth. So I think, what we've done, it can be done. I mean, here we are two people. We don't have PhDs. We ain't got a lot of money. Never have. But if we give people that example, if we can do this, we can do this. There have been hundreds of businesses started from this little entity, and just encouraging people, inspiring them to go out and, create some type of business similar to what we've done. So, but no, we've had, very, very receptive. People have been very receptive.
That's good.
To knowledge. Yes,
okay, thank you for that. I know you have a lot of activities and other things that go on at the bookstore. Chief visited your store and gave a seminar there not long ago. Can you tell us about some other activities and workshops that you have there? Are they, ongoing, or, just some of the things that you offer there?
Yes, ma'am. For us, we work with our community. So a lot of times, the people bring, they dictate, they come to us and tell us what they want us to do. So we create a lot of programming around, children activities. We have drumming, we have math class, we have reading, science class, we have, we have storytelling. We have a lot of things for the children, and we have a lot of just different things to help our people. We have classes, all kinds of spirituality classes. We have political education. We do Marcus Garvey, Kwame Nkrumah. We do many things. We of course uplift women. We have a lot of women activities because we have to do that. We have to uplift women, and so we just try to keep things going, keep energy flowing, and it's we try to have a very welcoming type of environment. When you come in here, you need to feel like you're at home, because that's what we are. We're a family, and especially when you're around your culture, you should feel protected, and, at home. So we try to just, keep educational things going if we can.
Okay, that's thank you. Let's see. I visited the store's Facebook page and saw a picture of your husband surrounded by a lot of African art, statues, and other beautiful artifacts. Was that picture taken in the store?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And how did you all come to acquire such a huge collection? Did it come directly from the continent?
Well, we've always, a lot of things my husband would travel back to get in Ghana, all over the continent, but a lot of things we've gotten from different African vendors that travel around the country selling African art. Over the past 20 years, we've gotten a lot of great pieces. We've sold a lot of them, and my husband just loved African art, so he accumulated a lot of it. So we have a good working relationship with our brothers and sisters, who sell African art, and travel back and forth from Africa. So a lot of it we just, picked up from different African art sellers.
Okay. You all have traveled to Ghana And how has it just been Ghana? Have you visited different parts of the continent? And what did you learn from those travels over the years? And, you know, how did those visits influence you?
Well, we love Africa, right? A lot of times, just a lot of people, they have this obstacle in their mind about going to Africa. Oh, it's too expensive. I'll never go. I got to get a passport. I got to get a visa. You know, they have all these obstacles that they try to create in our psyche about going to Africa, but it's a very simple process. So what we do, you know, we just, once you get over that, go that first time, then it's just, you know, it's just you just continue to go. You plan your next trip, But one thing that we've learned, and that others learn when they first go, is that, you know, they tell you, oh, the Africans, they don't like y'all, and then when Africans get over here, they say, oh, they don't like these Africans born in America don't like y'all. They create this division between us as Africans. But once you go, you realize that is a lie. You know, they love you in Africa. You know, they treat you, they say, welcome home, brother, welcome home, sister, right? So, you know, it's just that you get over that myth, for one thing, that lie, rather, that you know, that divides us as African people, no matter where we are. That, you know, that African people are the same, no matter if you were born here or born there. You know, we're still brothers and sisters. So, one thing that's very important.
Which country do you visit the most, or which is your favorite place to visit?
We travel back and forth to Ghana a lot. I've been to, myself, I've only been to Ghana, gone to Libya. My husband traveled more because I've always worked a full-time job while working the shop. So he was able to do a lot of traveling. And I, you know, sometimes stayed back and allowed him to do that. So, yeah, but I've only traveled myself. My husband traveled Senegal, Ghana, Guinea, Ivory Coast, Libya, a lot of Nigeria, different places.
Okay. Okay. I also, I think, read in the same article that your union was based on energizing a community to demand improved living conditions. How has your bookstore contributed or helped the African American population in your area?
Well, what we've done mostly is to change negative ideas that we have about ourselves to positive ideas, right? I mean, that's the worst thing the enemy could do to you, people, to teach them to hate themselves. So for us, one thing is it's in the immaterial realm. You can't touch it, you can't feel it, you can't buy it. It's the immaterial, the ideas, that we have about ourselves, how we relate to each other, how we see ourselves. You know, the aspirations of our people. So for us, we have to change negative ideas about, you know, how people see themselves as African people. I mean, we show the dignity and beauty of Mother Africa. We tell them, you know, these negative conditions out here are not, that's not who you are. That's not your natural state. These conditions were created to keep you in a state of desperateness and poverty, but that's not who you are. So we tell them, don't let them hijack your personality. The African personality is one of dignity and grace and confidence and pride, and one of education. I mean, that's, you know, so we have to give them their true African personality. That's what our main thing does. We've organized with working, we organized with a lot of different organizations, labor organizations. We've organized for a 6-hour workday, free health care, free education. I mean, we try to work toward, you know, issues that we can all agree on, you know, as humanity, you know, that we can all agree on health care, education. You know, so we try to work with many different organizations, but for us, you know, Africa is primary, and we try to, you know, push that among our people. So, but it's just the immaterial is sometimes more important than the material. Like the things that once you're gone, people still remember. To still give them strength, you know, to move forward.
What is Anu Asafo? Anu Asafo is our opportunity to present our varied perspectives on our culture in an atmosphere that is conducive to and fosters growth and communal reclamation, the reclaiming of our communities, dissolving the lines of division that wedge a chasm between those who are authentically bent on destroying the strongholds that would maintain the veil of mental object among those striving towards higher awareness and what we would call ma'atic rebalancing. As we destroy, we build better individuals, better families, better communities, and a better nation. This is the work of warriors who are engaged in a war against a common enemy in the form of a mechanism of beguilement and spiritual subjugation. We build. Anu Asafo is a child segment of the Enlightenment and Transformation media experience, which of course is a child component of the Anu Nation. If you'd like to learn more about our various components and activity nets, I urge you to go to anunation.org, which is ANUNATION.org. The Anu Asafo segment on Enlightenment and Transformation is a student-coordinated and managed show segment. Our Shule, our Sedulu, or what you may call our school component, is the Sedulu House. If you'd like to study with us or gather more information, visit the seduluhouse.com, which is SADULUHOUSE.com. The mission of the Anu Spiritual Order is to serve as custodians to original culture. We are here to share, and we are here to implement original, indigenous, and most significantly and empirically, Akibulanian culture and deep thought knowing. This has been the Jegna Chief Yuya Asan Anu, signing in and signing off for the Anu Asafo.
Welcome back to the second half of the Anu Asafo Show with Akwete Tyehimba. I also read that you have children. How does your family play a role in the business? Is the bookstore a family business or a legacy that will pass to them when you have retired, or if you choose to, not work as much there at the bookstore?
I hope so. We have 3 kids, and really they are very, and I'm just praying when I say that they're very good children. They really are. But they do. My daughter works in the store with us. She graduated from college over a year ago, but since my husband passed, she has stayed and, worked in the store with me. And then my 2 boys, they're both in college now. One at Tennessee State in Nashville and one at Tuskegee. My daughter went to the University of Pine Bluff in Arkansas, graduated from there. But they all, they all have a desire to fulfill their father's legacy. Make sure that they keep Africa close to heart.
That's good.
So they have my boys have a clothing line of African clothing that they're trying to push among their college folks, and so they're trying really hard. They're trying.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I know sometimes, we don't include our children in our visions of what we want to do in life. But and everyone in the household is just kind of doing their own thing. But traditionally, when our children go to college or pursue other types of training, what's usually done is they take that education and incorporate those interests into the family business to make it better or to expand that family business. So I just wanted to get your take on how important it is to include our children in your business, our children in our businesses.
Well, you're right. It is very important. Even we, as working parents, America will work your tail to death. Sometimes you got time to sit down at the table with your children. You ain't got time to see how the day went. I mean, they work you just to pay bills. It takes away some time with your family, your self-development. So, I mean, we're not exempt from that. We didn't always include our children in our organizing, I mean, we were so busy doing, but hopefully just them being in the mix of it all, showed them our level of an example of organization. But yeah, there was a point in time where my children didn't want to wear African clothes. Child, they'd be like,
"Wow,
I ain't gonna wear that." These are our children. We saw that. We wearing African clothes all the time, and they were ashamed to wear African clothes. So we all go through those struggles with our children because there's a lot of pressure out here. But with this society does not afford you time to develop your family like you need to develop your family. So we felt guilty to a lot of that ourselves, but we tried. But it's based on the conditions in this society. It makes it very difficult for you to give and develop your families and develop yourself to your fullest potential, I think.
Well, I will that they do take their interest in everything that they learn and bring it back to the bookstore to keep that going, because that is a valuable asset for the community. And it's just something that came to mind because I know that, traditionally, like I'd take Asian families, for instance. If they are a family of bread makers, that is the family business, and it's going to continue on for generations. And that is how you build a kingdom or a dynasty. That family is known for baking bread, or this family is known for being mechanics. So I think that's something that as Africans here in America that we really need to take a look at and get back to.
Right. You are so right. I hate to interrupt, but
that's okay.
One thing that they don't teach our children to respect an honest working man and woman. They teach them to respect those that making the quick money, the basketball players, the drug dealers, somebody making quick money. But there's parents, hard working mom and daddy, they don't respect us, right? This society trains you to look to those that don't work, and don't labor, but to disrespect those who work and labor. So sometimes our children don't respect the work that we do because of the education or miseducation and that comes from this society. They don't respect, those that do honest work, honest day's work. They respect those that make that quick money.
Right.
So, but yeah.
I wanted to give you a chance to give the listening audience information about your bookstore and how they can keep in touch with what's going on at Pan-African Connection.
But it's Pan-African Connection. I think it's a fan page. I don't know a whole lot about it. But Pan-African Connection, you can find us there. And then our phone number is area code 214-943 8262, 214-943-8262. And again, we're located here in Dallas. Please come by and see us.
Now I kind of want to shift things to ask you a little bit about African culture and traditions. And although, Chief Yuya is a priest in the Nigerian Orisha tradition and a student of Ifa, the Anu spiritual order is not a religion per se, but it pulls from various indigenous traditions. But principles and concepts of African spirituality heavily influence the training. Do you and your family practice any African spiritual traditions, or have you kind of created your own synthesis of different ones?
Yeah, for us, there's, I guess for us, we study and of course we study Ifa. We have a lot of babalaos and priests, and we do just a lot of work with people who are practicing Ifa or Santeria or different traditional African religions. So we have a high level of respect for that, and of course, we have our African art all around us, surrounding us with all the, the value systems and the spiritual symbols that, that also inspire us and teach us and guide us. We have our just love for humanity, right?
Okay.
Our love and our love for the people, and we, our work for the people, really. It's to us one of the most spiritual things you can do is to work for the people, and also it's just that, we all want to see humanity move forward. We want to treat each other like we want to be treated, right? So that's kind of basic human principles, humanism for us. But like I say, sometimes you take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but our people are spiritual people in general, and our people believe in a creator, our people, believe that, that our ancestors are with us at all times. So we kind of, like I say, we're very spiritual people through our work, and we understand our culture and the spiritual aspects of it. So.
Okay. The reason I asked that is because, again, I'm going to reference his book again, in Solutions for Dysfunctional Families. He says that, especially here in the West, if you do not choose a culture, one will be chosen for you. And so I know that here in the United States, or in the West, African Americans, as Africans in America, we really don't have a culture, so to speak. And so things like you said, Ifa or Orisha tradition, it's good that you have the bookstore there so that they can learn about these traditions and see how, just see how it worked for us, then, but also how we can incorporate it into our lives now to get that power back, because those are very powerful spiritual traditions. Okay. In an article, I think it was the Dallas News, you said that learning more about African culture made you a better person. How is that? How so?
Yeah, it's just when you're surrounded by your symbols and your your art. I mean, it really does bring you closer to humanity. It brings you closer to who you are. You understand. What you have to do in life, but not just for, in solving the problems of Africa, we in turn solve the problems of humanity. It makes the world a better place. It's just something about Mother Africa, right? And the strength and the principles, the humanism that, just lights up the world. I mean, I was at an African dance performance the other day, and people there was the dance troupe had a white girl, a European dancer. So people, some people frown upon it, but this dance troupe embraced this person, and she embraced African culture. But so I was at the performance, and this girl she's a heavy-set girl, but the dancing and this dance troupe just gave her the confidence and she was just, glowing, right? She was, it's just, I just could see how Mother Africa had transformed this young lady, how it made her feel more confident and stronger. So it's just something about us that once shared with the world will make the world a better place. But we have to first, solve our problems as African people. But it's just being around our culture. It's a very humanistic culture. It's a very humanistic. We're very humanistic and giving and loving people. So it makes me a better person just knowing more about who I am.
I see.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We live in the age of Kindle, Oyster, and Nook. All these portable devices where we can just, order a book real quick and it's there in our hands. In what ways is the bookstore more than just, a regular bookstore? Because, of course, I know it's not just about selling African literature, because you offer so much there. But how do you counteract that type of culture where, why go to a bookstore? I can just download it on my Kindle.
Yeah, for us, we've always been who we are, right? We've not tried to be like the model of your Barnes and Nobles, but black, right? A lot of black bookstores follow that model. That's what they're told to do. We want you to be a black bookstore, but you have to be set up like the regular European bookstores, right? Sell everything that you're told to sell. For us, we have a line, I should say, or we have a set of principles that we have to adhere to. We have, we have a responsibility to educate our people, to give them books about things that are, Marcus Garvey, Anu Asafo, Dr. Ben Diop, Miseducation of Negroes, Message to the Black Man. We have a historic responsibility to give our people certain books, right? I mean, I can't spell all that other stuff. That's not who we are. So for us, we're unique. And not unique, but for us, that's what we do. So people come to us for books that Barnes and Noble may have to order for. They don't keep it in stock. They have to order it. You may get it a week or two later. Or, and for us, we just don't try to be like everybody else. It may hurt us in a sense. We may not make the money that other folks make, and we've been criticized for that we're not a real bookstore, right? But we are a real bookstore. We sell books our people need and then wake them up. So, but yeah, we just offer on a consistent basis books that most bookstores may have to order for,
Right.
Yeah.
I know for me, it's still something about just opening a brand new book and, the smell of the pages and also, just being in the atmosphere of a bookstore that to me, a Kindle just doesn't provide that. It's convenient, but especially like you said, in your bookstore, you have so many other things to go along with the books. You have the clothing, you have art, you have all of these other, things that just kind of put you in another place and time. I think the motto of your store on your sign, it says the shortest trip to Africa without getting on a plane. So things like that, to me, that's something that, Kindle cannot replace, so to speak.
Yeah, and I understand technology, and technology is not, it's not always, it's a positive thing. So, but it's just that for us, it's not just a bookstore, right? We have an institution that we've created. It's not just. If we were in for it, we were just in it for the money, we'd be out of business a long time ago. So it has to be more to it. And like I said, it may not fall into the Harvard Business School way of how to run a business, right? But it has sustained us as as a family and in our community. So. We're going to be in it as long as the people want us here. And when they don't want us here, we won't be here. So, because they won't support us. But right now, I think they want us here, so we're going to be here.
Is there anything that I may have left out that you may want the audience to know about the bookstore or upcoming events that you have going on there?
Well, just let me say that for us, we thank the people for their inspiration to us because we're here to serve the people, and so we are inspired by the work other people are doing, like yourself, And people all over the country are doing really good work.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole lot of confusion out there for sure, but there's still a lot of good work being done to educate our people about their history and culture. So we're just part of a collective consciousness, we hope, we know that is here for a reason. And I think we all have our purpose.
Right.
And so the Pan-African Connection, like yourself, is here to uplift humanity and particularly uplift African people. But we just have things going on this weekend. What do we have? We have a Kwame Nkrumah birthday celebration. Kwame Nkrumah was one of the greatest Africans ever, the first Prime Minister of Ghana, which was the first country to get its independence from colonial rule.
Right.
So Nkrumah made sure that all of Africa had its independence. He said the freedom of Ghana was meaningless unless it was linked to the unification of all, and the independence of all of Africa. So we have to lift Nkrumah up. The CIA, overthrew Nkrumah, but he's just a great person that we need to lift up. So we have that this weekend at 7 Saturday.
Okay.
There are a lot of things going on. There's a big Yoruba festival in Dallas this weekend.
Oh, wow.
In Irving, you can go to, I think, YorubaFestival.us or something.com.us. There's Dance Africa going on in town this weekend, Friday and Saturday at the Dallas Dance Theater. There's a lot of good things happening here. So on this Sunday we have our Ubuntu Marketplace, which is a marketplace for vendors, business people come out, set up for $10, sell whatever you want, but just to kind of create some, keep the African economy moving. And every first and third Sunday.
Okay.
But other than that, that's it. There's a lot of stuff going on, so hopefully you can go to the website and we'll have it updated.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Okay, and for the that's pretty much all that I have for now. But I want to give you, the opportunity again to let the audience know how to get in touch with you or the Pan-African Connection bookstore, so they can stay in the loop of news as far as the number or address and social sites.
Yes, ma'am. I think my daughter keeps up with our Facebook, but it's Pan-African Connection. I think it's a fan page. I don't know a whole lot about it. But Pan-African Connection, you can find us there. And then our phone number is area code 214-943-8262. 214-943-8262. And again, we're located here in Dallas. Please come by and see us when you're in that area.
Okay, Sister Akwete Tyehimba, I want to thank you and your family for making such a huge contribution and commitment, to the community to teach us more about our culture, especially in the South. Information and interaction with someone knowledgeable in African traditions is kind of scarce in this part of the United States. And I would also like to encourage everyone listening to go by and support the Pan-African Connection bookstore if and when you are in the Dallas, Texas area. That will conclude my interview for Anu Asafo this week. Thank you for tuning in, and I would also like to thank Akwete Tyehimba for her contribution to the show. Listening to her story is inspiring. I will that it also inspires you to consider some of the points made in this interview when writing mission statements for your families. Whether you're just starting your family or if you already have one, your union should have a plan and purpose so that your children will have a legacy. It's really time that we start taking our lives and the lives of our children seriously. It doesn't have to be some huge, grand, obscure, unattainable plan. Start small. plan, make goals, instead of just going through life making emotional decisions. The Pan-African Connection bookstore has been open for over 20 years. They have been able to send their children to college, and they will have a business that has served and made significant contributions to their community. I was listening to a lecture with someone from the conscious community defending this dysfunctional state of melanated families by saying it's the legacy of slavery and that we need psychological counseling before we can even begin to pick ourselves up. Well, while that, a minuscule part of that may be true for some, we really have to stop hanging on to slavery as an excuse of why we can't make good decisions. Whenever I check Facebook, I see so many status updates of video clips highlighting quotes or entire lectures from many of our African scholars. They've left us so much by way of books and lectures that there really is no excuse for not knowing about your history or what we need to do to overcome our condition. They really have done all the research for us. We've got to stop coming up with these vague, elaborate solutions that sound so expensive or unattainable that it paralyzes you so much that you anticipate failing before you even try. Haru's book, Solution for Dysfunctional Family Relationships, is full of common sense, effective solutions, most of which, if not all, that don't require any money. So this is totally doable. It doesn't have to be as far-fetched as we make it out to be. I don't think that there's going to be one big massive counseling session that will make all of our problems go away. We have to start taking steps. Every week we have guests that have shown us, that this is possible. If the lectures and books you're reading don't spark you to action, what's the point? I'll share what one of my past guests gave as advice on the subject, and that was simply to start where you are and utilize what you have. And I want to add, seize every opportunity. Sometimes we have opportunities to participate in things and we don't because it doesn't look like what we imagined it to be, or we didn't see how it was relevant to our goal. Sometimes small opportunities present themselves as a test. For example, say you wanted to open a bookstore and you were asked to maybe volunteer some time to go to your neighborhood bookstore and read to children, and you turn it down. Well, you just passed up a chance to not only interact with those who will patronize your future business possibly, but you also missed the chance to get an inside look at how the bookstore is organized and ran, or possibly forming a relationship with the owner so that they may give you some advice on how to start the business, or even, give you a job to give you even more in-depth look at how the day-to-day operations go. But because your vision of how things should go was different, you may have missed a valuable opportunity. And for those who are students of the Anu Spiritual Training or regular supporter of all the shows on the Enlightenment and Transformation channel, Chief brings us lectures, information, and direction every week on how to get physical and start moving. That's what Thunderground Thursdays are about. So I'm going to close with a snippet of one of those shows where Haru shared his thoughts on getting out of that paralyzed state. This clip comes from the show on mission and vision statements. So be sure to check the archives and listen to it in its entirety. It was a very good show. And as usual, Haru gives some real, tangible solutions. Thank you for tuning in this week, and I will be back with another segment of Anu Asafo next week. Peace.
This music that plays before I begin is not just to provide filler in between the places of my words as to give seeds of inspiration with silent lies. It actually takes me to a certain place, reminds me that we are existing on different planes concurrently. So action speaks louder than words, because oftentimes people will respond to what they see quicker than they will respond to what they hear. And we get physical because we also get mental. We also get spiritual. We spark on multiple levels at the same time. And sometimes we get so lost in all of the wonderful feelings and sparks of inspiration that the knowledge and the information provides to us that we neglect to get physical. One of the dangers of the information age. So much information is available that we can become inundated with information. Whereas once we were drowning in the paralysis of our own ignorance, we now find ourselves drowning in the paralysis of our own knowing. Constantly looking to dissect, analyze, and extrapolate the messages and the profound theories that exist in each one of life's experiences, only extrapolating those theories so that we can share them with other people to self-aggrandize. So it gets very dangerous sometimes when you know too much, or your knowing is not balanced with doing. And in this world, you were given a human body, a physical body, because you are supposed to exist on that plane as well. You have a root chakra for a reason. Just like you have a crown chakra, you also have a root chakra. And part of what this show represents is our responsibility as spiritually mature adults. It's not just enough to get deep and unplug from the matrix or unplug from societal systems that we notice and feel do not serve us or our people. It's not just about that, because one of the things that we have to be sensitive to is what we're leaving for our children. So often I speak to people and they have desires to just totally drop out of society, totally drop out of political and governmental situations that seem to be no more than a hassle, extracting just enough from their monthly budget to throw them off, but not enough to send them into poverty, just like a pest. Just like when you get those, when you're in New York City and you get those tickets, sometimes parking tickets, you get a parking ticket for $140. Ridiculous amounts. You'll be in certain towns and get a parking ticket for a meter and maybe $15. But you have a $140 ticket which won't send you into ruin, but it's just annoying enough to throw your budget off. So sometimes that's just enough to make people crack and say, you know what, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. But when you go live in the middle of the woods in your cabin and you turn everything off and you completely jump off of the grid, are you ensuring that you're leaving something for your children? Or will they have to fend for themselves in an ever-changing, in an ever-devolving and expanding societal construct that seems to encroach upon every space, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, that one seeks to set up their flag? There is always a possibility of encroachment, and if one does not guard themselves with the right-minded plan of action, a right-minded objective, and reason for existence beyond survival, then they run the risk of losing everything that they've strived and worked for. So this will be a show that will not be very long, because when it comes to Thunderground Thursday, I prefer to speak a little and then do a lot. And of course, with all of the other shows that I present, I never speak on things that I have not implemented in my own world. So all of the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding that I am sharing with you is integrative knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from experiential experiences and occurrences. Integrated, meaning that it is a part of my world, part of my life. It is a part of my psyche because it is things that, or they are things that I have applied, methods that I have used and implemented and tweaked. Okay? So in the book Solutions for Dysfunctional Family Relationships, I spoke about people developing mission statements for their families. And this just doesn't have to happen on a collective level of a family. You can develop a mission statement for yourself as an individual, which I strongly encourage and advise you to do. And I know it's difficult sometimes if one is not clear on what their life purpose is. If they haven't gotten those readings and tapped into that level of knowing, then sometimes that personal and spiritual fulfillment kind of reigns over as a thorn in their side and doesn't really allow them to think about what their mission should be or the construct and framework of your mission. A mission statement doesn't just speak to purpose and objective, but a mission statement speaks to rules of engagement or culture. Okay? Now, rules are one way to say something, but sometimes when you start using words like rules, people get turned off. They want to drop out. Oftentimes, instead of using the word rules, it's better just to say the way we do things. You know? So a mission statement speaks to how things are done, who they're done for, who they're done to, what are the expected outcomes, and why. These are the things that are needed on the individual level. These are the things that are needed on a familial level. And of course, these are the things that are needed on a professional level. Oftentimes, I hear people speak to me about businesses that they want to create and start. And they don't have a mission statement. Problem. So what's the problem with that? Not only is it easy to lose focus without a mission statement, but every time someone asks you about your business, you're going to find yourself saying something different. And eventually you might even find yourself rambling at a very key point and moment when you should be explaining what it is that you're about, or what it is that your business or even your family is about. It's so much easier to, if someone says, well, hey, what is your business about? To just say, well, here, let me give you some of our literature. Keep it real simple, so that way you don't have to worry about explaining things in a different way. Now, the same thing occurs for you as an individual. You know, sometimes you'll find yourself in situations where you have to really reference and check what you're about and what you're doing. And you may find yourself engaged in activities that don't really speak to your mission. They don't speak to your objective, and they certainly don't speak to your divine purpose. Obviously, this is a problem. In steps the mission statement. That's why it becomes so important. And if you're developing a family and you have a familial mission statement, but you begin with an individual or personal mission statement, what will happen is that you'll be able to really understand what your lane and your role is within the collective, and what priority you should place on the different dimensions of your role, or the different roles that you may take on. You may have to do several things, especially in the familial setup. You're going to be more than one thing. You know, you may be a mother, and you may be a mate. You may be a mother, and you may be a daughter. You may be a father. You may be an uncle. You may be a business owner. You may be a community leader. And establishing that mission statement for yourself helps you to understand where each one should fall in, which one should be considered first before decisions are made about other things. For instance, sometimes someone will go through a situation where they're now approached with new job opportunities, new career opportunities. And in a healthy setup, a lot of times people will say, okay, you know what? Before I make a decision on this, let me go discuss it with my family. Well, that gives you an idea of where their priority roles lay out. Okay. In my family, I'm the boss. In any situation, I'm the boss. But especially with my family, I'm the boss. And as the boss, my number one mission and priority, essential priority, is to be the best servant that I can be. Okay? So a lot of times as the boss, I'll have to make decisions that may not be popular decisions so that everyone can have their needs serviced as they should be. If I wasn't moving as a boss or didn't have that in the forefront of my mission, I may start serving people's wants because I may not understand the priority in which things are supposed to lay out. Because I have a clear and direct mission, clear and direct objectives written out with my own hand many years ago, before I even had a family. I knew what I wanted to represent in my community. I knew what I wanted to be, and I knew what type of people I wanted in my life. So I had to establish a mission plan and an action plan for myself that spoke to my constant evolution, progression, and the need to put myself through my own rites of passage. So I would constantly be growing, so I can make myself worthy of those feminine counterparts that I envisioned as a little boy. Okay. So of course I learned, how to fix things, how to build things, how to break things, and all the different things that I thought would make a full and accomplished Imotepian man. Paul Robeson being one of my greatest inspirations. So sometimes you may have an internal mission statement and objective like that. It may start that way, but it can evolve. It may start with just you wanting a qualified mate and wanting to be qualified yourself. And then it may change over time. It may be now the objective is about community leadership, community rearing. Your objective may be just to accumulate a lot of assets. Okay, it could be that, but when you have that, it helps to simplify your life. Oftentimes, I speak to people through consultations, and they have a lot of problems focusing. There's so many different things that they have talents for and talents toward, but don't know when and how to apply them, and certainly can't get their minds wrapped around which one to choose first. A mission statement helps with that. It helps you to know what comes first, what is really a hobby, and what really speaks to your career and your longevity and the liberty of yourself and your family. So when you're establishing said mission statement from an individual level, okay, for men and women, it's slightly different. But in reality, the individual mission statement, you can almost ask yourself the same type of questions. Now, the way you will answer those questions will be different. They better be different. Your objectives, aims, and your methodologies should be different based on your gender. If they're not, well, that's another show. But that speaks to some of the issues and solutions for dysfunctional family relationships. Okay. So one of the first things you want to look at when establishing a familial, personal, or even professional mission statement, you want to answer the why. Okay. And the why is, why am I here? Okay, the why speaks to my purpose in doing whatever it is that I'm doing. Why am I interested in moving into the place of existence? And that means transitioning from the place of survival. Why am I interested in doing that? Why do I not just want to survive and get along? But the why speaks to, what it is exactly that I want to provide for myself. I want to provide for my community. I want to provide for my family. Okay. And to really answer that intelligently, all you have to do is just really think about the first reasoning that comes to you for existence. The existence of anything, even if it's a family. If you are a man and you want a family, or you already have one and you're getting ready to write this statement for your family or with your family, the first thing you want to look at is, well, why did we begin this to begin with? Okay, did I marry for love as a man? Did I marry, because it was a strategic move? Did I marry because my wife was pregnant and I felt it was the honorable thing to do, or my girlfriend was pregnant and I felt it was honorable? Did I marry because I wanted to emulate the greatest sciences of the deities and archetypes in my ancient traditions? So there could be many reasons, and of course they're personal. Only you know that. Certainly do not adopt anyone else's reasons. I'll give you a good example. I had a friend who called me maybe about a year ago, because we hadn't spoken in a while, and he called me to let me know he had just gotten engaged and he was getting married. And he was all excited and everything like that, and he said, I'm getting ready to get engaged, I'm married, and I just wanted to let you know, man, I got to send you an invitation to the wedding. And so I usually Mr. Thundercloud in my circle, so I wasn't necessarily excited, because I felt, well, you two old people getting married. What's so exciting about that? You're not going to have any children, because neither one of you even want children. So basically, you're trying to make sure that no one else has sex with this woman you really like. Because I asked him, I said, well, why are you getting married? What for? Because he had always said he would never get married. He was just really against it and enjoyed being with women and being in a committed relationship, but he felt marriage wasn't for him. So I said, well, what are you getting married for? And he said, because I love her. And I said, that's what she told you to say if somebody asked you. But why are you getting married? What is the reasoning? You giving me an answer like you're a girl. So he kept saying, oh man, I love her. I said, okay, well, can we add a reason onto that? And he said, well, she's cool. Okay. So by the time we went through it, he couldn't come up with any other reasons other than he loved her. So I said, you're marrying her for the same reason that she's marrying you. And that's stupid. That means you don't have what you need on the table to provide for this woman emotionally and spiritually. If you're marrying and it's an emotional decision, that's okay for her to react and move from emotion, because she lives in that intuitive psychic world of emotion. It's cool. And even neurologically, a woman's brain, women have clumps of neurons in their brain tissue that men actually don't have. And researchers have found that these clumps are active 24/7. It's kind of interesting. It gives you some clue as to why, especially in the emotive sense and intuitive sense, women are so much more advanced than us men are. Especially at a much younger age, they begin the process of discerning and reading people, reading energy, learning how to manipulate energy, and down to even, simple things, being flirtatious, knowing when the best time is to ask their parents for something, or how to put their parents in the mood, or how to use terms of affection. And young boys they don't have that the same way. So women think differently, which is cool. They're supposed to. If we look different on the outside, we're different on the inside. Okay? So, he couldn't come up with any real reasons, and I still congratulated him. It's great, because I'm all about love, and especially black love. I'm all about that. So I was all for him, joining in union with this young lady who I also knew, and knew her to be a thorough woman. She's thorough, and she's clean, and she's decent. And, I like kind, decent people. So that was all good. But his reasoning was all jacked up. So we had to really sit down as old friends and really speak about what this new family he was establishing, what it was to represent to the community. What did this union mean for not only those two, but for all of us? To only think of yourself would be pretty selfish. And he was very thankful for the conversation and, of course, for my candidness. And it really helped him to establish a new mission, not only with the family, but even with his own parents, who are very elderly at this point, and things that he felt that the marriage should represent for them and what it should provide for them. So that's part of the why that you want to look at for your own personal self, and when you're establishing a business, so forth and so on, or for yourself. One of the other things that you want to look at is, again, speaking about the why, you want to look at, well, what do you want to project? We're dealing now with the solar chakra. What identity do you want to project into the world or into the community? Okay. Now, this is on a personal level, but this is also on a familial level. When people see you, people see your family, people see your brand. Consider your family as a brand. What do you want that picture, the mental picture that's conjured, what do you want it to convey? Like when we think of the Baldwins, a lot of times people think about trouble. Okay, they go through a lot of hassle. You think of the Jacksons, you think about talent, but also to some degree there's some tragedy, So you want to think about, what is it that your family or you as an individual, what is the statement that your image and your identity is making in the world? Very important. You also want to look at the cipher that you or your family or your business exist in. So this is where we get to the who. Okay, who will be in that cipher?